guys, Laura here from Hedgehog's Homestead. Today I'm working on some elderberry syrup. Simple and easy recipe. I was shaking up my bag. I had frozen berries in there, and so we're going to start with frozen berries because that's what I had. When my berries were ripe, I wasn't ready to make it, and so I just put them in the freezer, which makes it really easy to harvest them. You can freeze dry them too, or you can even just dry them. And they're easy to use that way too, to make elderberry syrup or whatever else you want to make, elderberry jam, whatever. It is a medicine for boosting your immune system. So if you feeling a cold coming on, you want to take a tablespoon or a teaspoon of it about every hour to, well, every 2 hours probably. As that cold, you're feeling that cold coming on. So let's go ahead and make some elderberry syrup. It's simple and easy. So I have my Dutch oven here, and I'm just gonna get those little pieces out, and I'm gonna strain this anyway, so I'm not worried about too many little stems and berries. You only need a cupful. Measuring cup here, and I'm just gonna take out a cup of elderberries. Now, if you're using dried, you're going to want to use 2 cups. For some reason, it just works out that way. And I am a little less than a cup, but I can put more of these back in my bag and give them another shake, and they should come off of the stem, because when they're frozen, that's what they do. Okay, or 1 cup actually, because we have frozen berries. So we're sticking the 1 cup of elderberries in there, and then we want 4 cups of water. So we're going to let that combine with elderberry syrup. So we're going to bring that up to a simmer and let it simmer for 15 minutes. Some fresh ginger in there too. The ginger just helps activate your immune system. Lay down. So this isn't something that's going to stay in there, so I'm just going to kind of put like 3 slices in there. Okay, now that it's coming to a simmer, we're going to let it simmer for 15 minutes. So I'm just going to put a timer on my stove for 15 minutes. And get all that goodness out of there. You could dye a shirt with this stuff. It's so purple. Stir. You can really smell that ginger. Okay, there we go. That is our 15 minutes. So now I have a bowl with a wire mesh strainer over it like so. And we're just gonna pour this into that bowl, into the strainer. We don't want any of the wild elderberries in there. Let me turn off that burner. Feeling that heat come off that burner. It's like, ah. Okay. All we want is the syrup. And a lot of the berries turned into a lighter color because we extracted all the juice from them. Okay. And then I'm gonna take my spoon and just kind of push any bit of that juice out of there, out of the rest of those berries. And then I'm gonna make sure that all the berries are out of my pot over here, because we're gonna add this syrup, which isn't syrup quite yet, right? Back into the pot. Whoops. I'm gonna have to do it again. Okay, so we have some discard that can just go in your compost. Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and take out any extra berries that are hanging out in this pot, because we don't want any of the berries in our, not because it will hurt you if you get a berry in there, but they just kind of have, their seed is almost like a little stone, and you really don't want it in there. So I actually see one of these in here, so I'm gonna get that out too. Okay, so that's all done. So now we're gonna pour our juice back into our pot. Now, if I was gonna, this is at this point, if I was gonna can this, I would turn the stove back on, and after I add my ingredients, and actually I'm gonna turn it on low just for this part, I guess. I'm gonna get all that honey in there. And once that's all incorporated, we put our last ingredient in. Now, I put in ginger. You don't have to put ginger in. You can just go with elderberries, honey, and lemon water. And we're just gonna stir that in really good so that there's no, we want it warm enough so that that honey doesn't settle on the bottom in any way. And it just mixes in really well. Okay. So all my honey's in there. And now I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of a lemon juice. Let's just double make sure, yep. Okay, so we add our lemon juice in there, 1/4 cup or 1/4 cup. Mix that all in there. And then I'm gonna put it in, I have an old peach jar that I got from the Amish store down near Clarksville, Tennessee. And I'm gonna get my little canning thing here. And I'm just gonna put it in my jar. Now I do have an extra jar if I need it, because it takes 2 quarts. I don't know if that will do the whole. So I'm just gonna ladle this in, because of course it wants to And this is gonna thicken up. You're gonna store it in your fridge. And so if you feel a cold coming on, all you do is take a tablespoon or a teaspoon. Now you don't want to give this to kids under 2 because the raw honey cannot, your doctors will tell you not to give your 2-year-olds raw honey. Now you can put GABA as your sweetener instead of using honey, and that works really well in place. So just to let you know, I think I'm gonna get maybe a little more than this. Now I'm not gonna can this. Now if I was gonna can it again, I would want to bring it to a simmer and then put it in a jar and can it that way. So again, you can use ginger, you can use cinnamon, and that just helps your body awaken. When you add that cinnamon and or ginger or both, you can put both in there. But the main recipe is just honey, elderberry, and lemon juice. So you can kind of play with the flavors that you want to add to it or not add to it. Now, if I was going to can this, I would simmer it and leave a 1/4 inch headspace and can it for 10 minutes in a water bath canner. And that would be no problem at all. But I think we are going to be fine and happy with just having the syrup in a jar in the fridge, since it lasts 6 months. You could always, can 1 jar and put 1 can in the fridge. If I had the opportunity to get more elderberries, I would probably can some. But I'm not going to worry about it this year. We're going to see how much of it we use. There we go, guys. 1 jar of beautiful elderberry syrup with a little bit left over in a little cup with a lid that we'll put on. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it's just been a pleasure to have you in my home. God bless. We'll see you next time. Okay guys, I just tasted the elderberry syrup. It turned out really good. I'm excited. Anyways, we won't be sick this year, hopefully, right? Don't want to curse us. Anyways, so it is tasty. So